Good morning, my wild and beautiful friends. I'm so glad you're here. Steve and I just spent an impromptu weekend at Disneyland, and I was on a mission. Find all the vegan goodies, try all the vegan goodies, and let you know what I think. So, we did our very best to try just about everything we could find. And there were some lovely vegan options at both Disneyland and California Adventure. We seriously walked, stood in line, ate, and drank until we dropped both days. I'm pretty sure if you're not doing Disney that way, you're just not doing it right. It's all about wait in line, go on a fun ride, find a snack, repeat. So I was super excited. Both Disneyland and California Adventure definitely had way more vegan options than they did the last time that I went, which was probably at least a decade ago. So they've definitely come really far with all of their options. I was able to find something just about everywhere we went. Of all the yummy things that we got to try while we were on vacation, Steve and I both agreed that the best thing we had the whole time were these lion's head meatballs. They were in California Adventure for the celebration of Lunar New Year. Their base is made with Impossible Burger, and Steve and I really liked them. Stew is good.
I spy with my little eye. One goofy.
A goofy? Where? Want to give a taste test for the camera? It's saucy, and we're both wearing white. That was a weird angle. Such a good filmographer. They're good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about the angle, folks. So our base is definitely Impossible Burger. There's for sure some green onion in there and soy sauce. I've done a little research on traditional lion's head meatballs, and I think I've got a decent idea of what's probably in these little guys. So keep on watching to see how we try to make them. Okay, to make these meatballs, I've got some garlic clove, ginger, and water chestnuts. I've also grabbed some sesame oil, some soy sauce, cornstarch, and some panko breadcrumbs. And we have 1 pound of Impossible Burger. So I'm using about a thumb size amount of ginger, and I'm going to chop it up really finely. And then I've got about 8 cloves of garlic. I'm going to use my garlic press to just mince them up really easily. You can of course chop them up with a knife as well. So the garlic and ginger we're going to be using for both our sauce and our meatball. So I'm doing them all at once now, but I'm just going to use half for our meatball mixture, and then I'll reserve the other half to make our sauce to braise them in. Okay, next up, a traditional and really smart ingredient, water chestnuts. I've got a can of sliced chestnuts here that I'm just roughly chopping. It's going to add a really nice crunch to our meatball. At first, when we were eating these at Disney, I thought they were cloves of garlic, which also, you know how I feel about garlic, that could have worked as well. But they were water chestnuts, and it gave just a really nice texture and broke up the meatiness of the meatball, so I'm super stoked to be using these. And we're pretty much ready to start assembling our meatballs here. I am going to also make a really quick flax egg. I've got this awesome vegan egg replacement. It's pretty much just crazily ground flax seed. So if you want to make a flax egg, you can totally do that, or a chia egg, anything that's going to kind of bind like an egg would. So I've got a tablespoon of this egg replacer and 3 tablespoons of warm water. I'm going to stir it on up in this big bowl and then just let it sit for about 2 minutes so it can start to kind of thicken up, and it'll help bind everything together. Now we're just gonna throw everything else on top of this flax egg. Well, first I'm gonna struggle a little bit to open this Impossible Burger on camera. Or off camera, actually. You can't even see what I'm doing, but clearly I'm struggling just a titch here. There we go. I'm gonna plop all of this on top of that flax egg, making sure to get all of those goodies out of the package. And I'm dumping in half of our ginger, because remember, we're going to keep the other half for our sauce that we're going to cook the meatballs in. Half of our garlic as well for the same reason. And then all of our water chestnuts are going into this mixture. Then I'm going to add in 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. I like to use low sodium, but you do you. Whatever you got on hand is great. and then 1 tablespoon of sesame oil. And it seemed like with traditional Lion's Head meatballs, there was a bit of a debate between traditionally using cornstarch and then people using panko. So I'm going to split the difference and do both today. So I'm adding 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and I'm going to start with a 1/4 cup of panko. We're going to mix it together and then kind of see where we're at and see if we need to add any more. And now we mix. So if you prefer, you can definitely use a spatula or a fork to mix it all together. But in my opinion, using your hands is best. I think it's a Potter in me. I just like to feel it, get my hands dirty, make sure everything's really nice and mixed and homogenized. As I'm mixing this together, I'm noticing pretty quickly that this is a really wet mixture between those water chestnuts and the soy sauce. We have got a wet dough, so I think I'm going to add quite a bit more panko, and we'll try to mix it up again and hopefully be looking a little bit more meatball-y and not so much meatball soup. I'm throwing in another 1/2 cup of panko and hoping that's going to work, because that's pretty much all the panko we got going on here. Oh yeah, we're already looking better here. I'm just gonna mix it up real quick. I'm trying not to overhandle everything, but I do want it to be all mixed together. That panko is soaking up that extra juice. Once I get it mixed into a ball, I'm just gonna let it sit for maybe a minute, and it will kind of let all that panko really absorb everything, and we'll have a solid, meatless mass of meatball dough. I think that might be a technical term, I'm not sure. And now we shall make the meatballs. You can eyeball your meatballs, of course. I've got this handy dandy ice cream scoop, so I thought I may as well make them uniform. Filling the scoop pretty full and then just rolling them out into a ball. One thing that I did notice, if you've got a big piece of water chestnut on the outside, I pushed it to the inside and kind of covered it with the Impossible burgers. So I feel like as we fry them, they could pop out really easily. So kind of just made sure to secure them and poke them into the inside as I went. Using this ice cream scoop, I was able to get 7 meatballs out of this batch. Traditionally, Lion's Head meatballs are quite large, so that's why we went with the ice cream scoop size. I've got some oil that I'm heating up on a pan now. We're gonna get ready to fry these little babies up. I'm using canola oil, and I'm gonna cook 3 or 4 at a time. I'm gonna do batches just to not overcrowd the pan. We wanna get a nice brown on all sides of these guys. My heat's on medium, and it's taking about 2 minutes or so on each side to get a nice golden crust. I've also got my oven preheated to 300 degrees. I'm gonna throw these little babies in the oven while the other ones cook and while we make our braising liquid. Alrighty, now that all of our meatballs are nice and browned, I'm gonna throw them in the oven, like I said, 300 degrees, and we're gonna start our sauce. I've got 2 tablespoons of sesame oil here on medium to medium high heat. I'm throwing in our ginger and our garlic, and we're just gonna let these brown up for about 30 seconds. It's incredible how fragrant this is. We're barely even getting started, and I know this sauce is gonna be amazing. Do that. This isn't totally traditional, but they're on sale at Natural Grocers, and they're just so stinking cute. I'm adding some brown enoki mushrooms. It's gonna give us some flavor and also some good texture. Then I'm gonna add in some soy sauce. I'm also gonna add, I have a bit of vegan oyster sauce left. I'm gonna hopefully get about 2 tablespoons out of this. Maybe. There we go, we're finally getting somewhere. And then to build on that, I'm going to add some mirin, about 2 tablespoons here. And use however much or little you'd like of this chili sauce. I started with about 1 tablespoon. I'm also adding in some green onion before I snuggle our little meatballs into this beautiful sauce. Once I've got these meatballs back into their sauce, I'm going to add a lid and just let these simmer for about 15 more minutes just to absorb all the liquid. Definitely give your sauce a try. I actually ended up thinning it out with a little bit of water and then adding a bit more soy and a bit more chili sauce. So do you build on it? I think it's a good base, but definitely add more soy sauce if you'd like, add more mirin, kind of taste test it out. So while those are simmering, I decided to make some mung bean noodles just so we have something to serve the meatballs with. I think maybe a ramen type noodle would have been even better. These were a little bit delicate for this meaty meatball. Gonna get some sauce too, of course. Make those noodles nice and saucy. Get some of those mushrooms in there. Oh yeah, that's pretty. It really does smell incredible in my kitchen right now. I wish I could somehow send you these smells and flavors for that matter. So these aren't 100% like the meatballs we had at Disneyland, but they are very close and they're very delicious. Pan frying them before we cook them in that sauce was such a great idea. It keeps it nice and crusty on the outside and juicy on the inside. Water chestnuts on the inside of these meatballs, total game changer. Adds a ton of texture and keeps everything nice and moist and light. I really hope you give this Disneyland recipe dupe a try. Totally worth it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're all staying safe and healthy, and I can't wait to talk to you soon. Cheers.